Neva Rouse and her daughters Lou and Sue talk about fire.
But I was going to say, your teaching experience during the Depression, how you met Grandpa and then the Depression struck right after that.
Like she was telling us the other day the story of when she was teaching at Shiloh, I think, and you had the Easter, wasn't it, that you took the kids out and you boiled the eggs?
We went down to the creek and had a winter roast. And of course, the schoolhouse was in the middle of the forest, and the leaves were about that tall, deep. And there was a creek, and we went down on the creek. Well, they didn't have wieners. People didn't know what wieners were. And they brought little slices of ham from home and put them on a stick and cooked that. And there was a little creek run down there and rocks. But everything went fine, and just about the time we was ready to go back to the schoolhouse to school out, some kid stuck his stick into the fire and threw it up over there and set all those leaves on fire. Well, I could see the schoolhouse burning, and just over the hill was the farmhouse. So I got all of the kids, and I said, the little ones, I said, you get your bucket full of water. And there was a fence. And I said, you get on this side of the fence, and you start raking the leaves back. And the fence went clear down to the edge of the creek. And I said, you rake all of your leaves, and if any of them, I don't stomp on the fire, but pour water on it. And one of the boys rode a horse, and he had a saddle blanket. And I said, you get it wet, and if any of the leaves the fire comes over, stomp it out. And then I walked up and down there to see that the little kids wouldn't get on fire. And they raked the leaves back about that far. And when the fire burned up to the fence, it went out. So then we poured water all along the fence there, and we never saw. Well, there was the old man lived down just the hill, and he went in to his wife, and he said, come out there and look at your farm, because he said it's going to be burnt. He said those kids have set a fire up there. Well, it wasn't very long till the fire was out. Well, and then I sent the kids home, and then after that I went down to look to see, and there wasn't a bit of smoke or anything. So after I went home from school, he went up there and looked it all over. So the next morning when I came to school, he came up there and he said, you did the swellest job of putting out that fire. He said, you saved the schoolhouse and my farm. I said, I know it. But we never had any more any more steak fries.
Weenie roast out in the fire.
Huh?
No more weenie roast for your class.
No.
Didn't Mom set the house on fire once too? Or something?
Twice.
How'd you do that?
The first time I set the house on fire because Merle, we had been down there and he was polishing his shoes, and we had that paste polish, and he set it up on the spout of the tea kettle, and it would get kind of soft and he could polish his shoes better. So I decided to do that too. I set it up on the spout of the tea kettle, up on the old cast iron stove, and then I went to get it off, and not thinking that it's hot then, you know. Mm-hmm. So when I picked it up, I dropped it, and that shoe polish is like wax, and it ran down the stove and just caught on fire, and the fire just swept out across the linoleum. Grandpa Red was down at the barn milking, and so Grandma Neva stepped down the back porch and hollered, Elmer, on fire. And so he ran up and poured milk and took the fire out with a bucket of milk.
I don't remember that.
You don't?
And the second time?
The second time was I was stirring oatmeal, and instead of hanging onto the pan, I was making the pan whirl really big. And it splattered the oatmeal out and went down in the stove. And we had, I guess, is it gasoline stove?
No, it was kerosene.
Kerosene. Mm-hmm. And it's got into the burner and it made fire come out. But Grandma Neva got that out. But I did burn my leg because the oatmeal, some of it came out.
Well, she just had her pants on. She didn't have any clothes on, only just her pants on. She had bare legs.
And I stirred it, and then it splattered out on me, and then got in the kerosene stove, and it ran down. And those stoves were really I mean, they were hard even the irons, we had kerosene irons, and we
Shut
did-
up.
No, I had
Gasoline
gasoline
iron.
we had a
That's
gasoline.
speaking of fire. I remember when I was a real little kid, Mother had this gasoline iron, and sometimes she would work on it and get the carburetor going and everything, but sometimes it would stop up and it'd catch on fire, and she would just go take it to the door and just throw it out the door, and it would just lay out there in the yard until it burned
Burned
out.
up all the kids.
Till the gasoline all burned out, and then
Talking about most accidents happening in the home.
It's a wonder more homes didn't burn and things with the equipment, you know, like the kerosene stove, the gasoline iron.
Just the lack of nearby fire, firefighters.
Well, setting Aunt Sue's hair on fire too, right?
Yeah, Mom set Aunt Sue's hair on fire in the outhouse, didn't you, with the candle?
We had to go to the outhouse, and the outhouse was, what would you say, a block and a half away from the house?
oh, are you talking over on Highland? Oh no, it
It
just
wasn't
as
that
a little
big.
kid, it just seemed.
That was far from here out to Bill's car.
Not to the car, maybe to the barn. It was quite a way. We had to go clear through the garden once they built it
Had to
into
go down the path past the garden. And
Yeah,
the toilet
yeah,
was
maybe
in-
out to the barn.
The toilet was in the hen house to start with.
Right, but this was after we got the new toilet.
Oh, well,
And so I said, let us have a candle. Mother said, no, I don't want you girls to have a candle. It's too dangerous. I said, we will be careful. We will be careful. And finally talked her into giving us a candle. And we did fine. We went down there, we went to the toilet, and we got out, and we came back, but the gate had to be fastened because it was gone into the chicken and barnyard. So when Sue went to fasten the gate, I held the candle really close so she could see, and I caught her hair on fire. And so I just started beating her in the head immediately, only thing to do. And I was just, beating her like this. Well, I got the fire out, so I said, do not tell Mother, because, she told us not to have she would let us have I said, don't even tell her. So we went in, and of course, you know how burned hair smells.
Yeah, don't tell Mom I set
And
your
Sue
hair
had
on
naturally
fire.
curly hair anyway, and the front of it was really crisp and really crinkled. And she noticed right away that something had happened.
Clever.